A long time ago, a spacecraft falls at a village in the North African desert, frightening out all the occupants. Thousands of years afterwards, an enormous disk of unidentified origin is brought to the dig site to be shown to Professor Langford. The scientist examines the second relic, an iron ring that has fossilized bones underneath, together with his little daughter Catherine. Our time. As Catherine Langford arrives for Dr. Jackson's presentation, she observes that none of his colleagues seem to be interested in the young scientist's unorthodox beliefs. After the lesson is over, Jackson emerges, and Catherine offers him a job deciphering ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs while she waits in the car. The elderly woman tells the doctor that her offer is his sole opportunity and that he has no other options. Staff personnel stop by Colonel Jonathan Jack O'Neill's home. When the man learns that General West is asking him to come out of retirement, it helps him gather himself and remain sensible while grieving for his son. The military installation is where Dr. Catherine Langford is waiting to greet Jackson when he arrives there as well. The disc, which Dr. Langford recognizes from his youth, is displayed to the scientist. Dr. Jackson can identify any translation errors only by glancing at the hieroglyphics. He makes text corrections, which irritates the other academics who have spent decades studying the text. Jackson wonders why the military was interested in the old item after finishing the translation. The person in command of the covert project, Colonel O'Neill, is prepared to respond to this query. Jackson keeps working on the translation 2 weeks later. The solution emerges on its own when he finally finds a newspaper with a picture of the starry sky. The stone disc shows a halo. Jackson tells a military committee about his finding, and the colonel gives him permission to show the scientist the iron ring that acts as a stargate to solve the second part of the puzzle. Jackson deciphers the seventh sign while inspecting the gadget, and the scientists start working on activating the ring. The symbols are positioned just as the odd scientist instructed, and then weird things start to happen at the base. The ground begins to tremble, and a water funnel forms from the middle of the ring. A machine is put inside the ring to collect molecular analysis of its contents as it is being encircled by armed troops. The machine is hauled inside, and sensors detect movement on the opposite side of the cosmos, in a far-off galaxy. The ring stops working and the drone's signal vanishes all of a sudden. The second section of the route, which Jackson views in the photographs the probe was able to send to the station, reveals that the exact same ring exists far away. Jackson proclaims his willingness to pass through the gate and obtain fresh knowledge after learning that the military intends to end the experiment. The leadership decides to take the chance, but Jack points out to the generals something they still haven't informed the scientists about: the fossilized bones that don't resemble human remains. Catherine hands the man an amulet she discovered as a young kid close to the entrance. The ring is relaunched, and Dr. Jackson and the military crew get ready for a strange voyage. Jackson travels down a dizzying tunnel to another world. The group discovers themselves in total darkness in an unexpected location. The group notices that they are in a certain temple, the entrance to which goes into the desert. When the scientist closely analyzes the building, it suddenly becomes apparent to him that a large pyramid with several moons rising above it is what is in front of them. Jackson acknowledges that he can't do it since he isn't adept with technology, but Jack asks the scientist to build up a gate so that he may return to his house while his men investigate the unidentified civilization. Until they can start the ring, the military sets up camp and prepared to live in a different culture. Jack builds a rocket while his subordinates are setting up and conceals it from the military. Jackson, in the meantime, spots footsteps in the sand. After following their trail, he discovers a large, odd animal trapped in the underbrush. The remainder of the scientist's chocolate bar is given to the beast to assist it. As the colonel notices this, he suddenly moves and flees, carrying Jackson, who is twisted in the rope, along with him. Jackson regains consciousness thanks to the enormous animal's tongue. After catching up with him, the military turns to look around and discovers a city in the midst of the desert that is housed under a tent. A disturbance starts as the locals become aware of the visitors. Jackson is sent ahead by Jack to put his skills to use and learn the language. The tribesmen fall on their knees after noticing the talisman around his neck. The head emerges next to the squad after one of the natives leaves to call for the elder. Despite the fact that Jackson does not speak the indigenous language, they nonetheless offer him presents. The scientist gives the elder a candy bar in exchange, and this is a crucial first step in establishing communication. The gang travels through the desert with thousands of people who are interested in the aliens after Neil reports to the base that he is okay. The visitors are welcomed to the metropolitan area. In the evening, A real feast is held for the guests, where various unusual dishes are served. The ceremony starts, but is cut short by a honking horn that sends all the locals running. Jack sees the city gates closing and he and his crew open fire, demanding to be let out. But a local boy shows him that a storm is coming on the town, and the colonel agrees to hide. Jackson tries to ask the elder where they are during dinner, but it turns out that writing is prohibited in the city, so he becomes sidetracked by drawing him into the company of attractive women. The scientist's bedroom is visited by a girl, but Jackson declines to utilize her. The man invites the new acquaintance into the room so they may converse, since the older becomes uneasy as a result. The girl offers to show the guy where she met them by drawing on the sand the symbols the scientist noticed on the ring. The surviving campers shelter in the pyramid throughout the night when a weird sound is heard. The group prepares for battle by pulling out their weapons as they witness a spacecraft descending above them. One by one, the troops are abducted. They don't have time to grasp anything, and only one of the officers notices an extraterrestrial towering over him while donning an Egyptian dog mask. A neighborhood resident who views the fire as a miracle receives a lighter from Jack. Even after letting him taste the smokes, the colonel collapses when the man goes for the pistol. Jackson also strikes up a friendship with a local girl, and she introduces him to an underground labyrinth full with intriguing symbols. Communication between the two is made simpler when they are able to learn a language that they both understand to some degree. The troops are carried to the tomb from the cave. One of them is able to get a glimpse of a lady emerging from the tomb, but the guy is already asleep. Jack learns that the base personnel have stopped broadcasting. The men are tinkering with lighters when they notice a subordinate saluting Jack. They all imitate the gesture. The colonel tries to ask the guys where Jackson could have gone, but they are unable to communicate due to the language barrier. When the youngster finally comprehends who the colonel is referring to, he releases the animal to go locate the man, who is having a blast in the dungeon. When Jack locates the scientist, he informs the colonel of the writing on the walls, which claims that a specific traveler from a faraway galaxy came to our planet ages ago seeking for a method to survive. In order to prevent anyone from learning the truth or considering fighting, he found a boy whose body he had previously inhabited, built a gate through which to release his people, and then enslaved all of the guests' people and sent them to work in the mines. They were not allowed to learn how to write. When Jackson examines the walls, he discovers a disc that resembles a gate, but it is missing the seventh sign, which is required for the scholar to activate the ring and leave the area. The group departs the city and makes its way to the camp. Jackson's new girlfriend is longing for him and believes that he is going permanently. The gang is unaware that a group of youngsters who are unsure about the purpose of the military's presence has following them. As Jack notices the spacecraft at the campsite, the team is stopped. He takes the unit inside while warning everyone to be cautious. But as soon as they are inside, Egyptian dogs start to send the troops away one by one. In case of danger, the rocket that the colonel was meant to use to destroy the gateway is nowhere to be seen. In the middle of the hall, an army of Egyptian soldiers arrives. The pyramid above them breaks into two as the colonel and Jackson are escorted inside the throne room. The tyrant who stole the missile from the military is revealed to the men after bringing them to their knees. The colonel was planning to eliminate them, and the ruler was upset about it. Jack discovers that other entities have taken possession of his subordinates' bodies, as he removes the mask along with his guards. Jack tries to start firing, but the guards immediately stop him. The king throws the intruder into the water ditch where the other remaining soldiers had been waiting all along after removing the necklace from his neck. The aliens launch drones and begin to fire on the city, not stopping to spare any old people or little children. As Jack's little companion sees this, he weeps for his killed comrades. Jackson finds himself in the sarcophagus when he awakens, and he only just makes it out alive. When the two of them are alone, the scientist tells Jackson that their nuclear missile will return to their world after pursuing the monarch, who this time has taken on the form of a woman. As the deity claims to have created the earth, he will also surely destroy it. Jackson must murder the entire bunch in order to save his life and remain in the new world. Shayuri convinces his buddies that they must finally start fighting as the city's king gathers the troops for the execution. Jackson sets up a riot after noticing warning signals from the hall as he approaches the group of people with his spear. The guys who have been saved disperse in various directions. The troops must go far from the camp in a sandstorm in order to find a deserted cave where they may hide with their rescuers. Jack is unsure of what to do because he cannot blast the gate or bring the squad down to earth as instructed by his orders. Also, he is forced to defend himself in front of his coworkers while pondering what to do with the large group of youngsters without a place to go. The colonel turns away from everyone and considers his next move. Despite all the concerns from the family, Jackson encourages him to really consider leaving. Assembling the pendant, the governor turns it on. He prepares to go in pursuit of the convicts after punishing the guard guilty for their escape. As Jackson visits Shori to find out what the issue is after noticing the adolescents taunting, emotions of love start to develop between the two young guys. The scientist decides to assist the youngster after spotting him sketching on the wall and succeeds in discovering the seventh sign that will guide them home. But first, they must get rid of the dictator, and Jack decides to do this by himself. Deity sees the caravan and tells them to prepare to carry a bomb to the Stargate and trigger the alarms on the guards. Jack's crew decimates the additional guards during the ensuing shootout. At this moment, drones are rising into the sky, and the military must defend the youths from the hamlet. Jack builds a rocket as he races to the gate with the intention of completing the objective and detonating the ring. Jackson is given 7 minutes to start the portal's opening process and return the warriors to their world. The Divine Guard then shoots Sayuri, causing the damsel to tumble. The scientist flies into the portal while holding her in his arms to treat his companion. Sayuri is saved by the scientist, but Jack is left to defend himself against the explosives. The adolescents are outside hiding, but one of them has not managed to do so in time and perishes on the battlefield. The explosion will occur in around 3 minutes. Jackson is captured by a god who wants to kill the scientist as he carries his friend's body to another tomb. Jack keeps fighting while observing the passage of time. As Jackson finally makes it to the gate, Jack triumphs over his adversary. There is barely a minute left, and the colonel hurriedly tries to stop the timer, but nothing happens. The abducted youngsters are rescued by the entire town. When the citizens approach the castle and release their pals, the two guards drop their firearms. A ship ascends into the skies as Deity prepares to flee. Jack observes this and enters the villain's chamber with a loud bomb, which explodes right away. Jackson succeeds in fixing the ring, is content with the girl he loves, and the adolescents acknowledge him as their leader. Just the Doctor of Science is still in the New World as the military departs on their return trip,